Hi, I'm Erica Hill, and I want to talk to you about creating a course for continuing studies to teach learners how to make a great pour-over cup of coffee. You may be wondering why, and that's a great question. I live in a city that's full of people who love coffee. We spend an excessive amount of coffee at cafes. In this process, we may not necessarily get the cup of coffee that tastes good to us. I want to teach all of those coffee lovers out there to be able to make a cafe-worthy cup of coffee at home. In doing this, it will save them time and money and allow them to make the types of coffee that they like. There are several types of ways to make a cup of coffee. I choose to teach the pour-over method as the supplies are easy and inexpensive to find, and the learner will have more control over the outcome of the coffee as compared with other methods such as a drip coffee maker. My goal is that this course will open the doorway to defining what type of coffee the learners like. You can ask yourself what a good cup of coffee is to you, and an understanding of the basic concepts of tasting and discovering their palate. While doing this, we will be teaching the students to go from a coffee bean to a cup of coffee by grinding the beans properly, weighing them, and using the correct technique to create a pour-over cup of coffee. There are not many online courses in how to make a coffee in general, and specifically how to make coffee at home with the pour-over method. There are videos to watch on YouTube, but not much available that will guide you and test your knowledge. This course will be a welcome step in allowing the normal Joe to make their own cup of Joe. So where and how will the students learn? They will learn at home in an online environment. This course will be composed of 3 short lessons and will be taught mostly via videos, short lectures, and interactive discussions. Most of all, the learning is meant to be relaxed and fun. So the basic task of the course is to eventually make a pour-over cup of coffee. This will be taught in 3 main tasks. The first one is to choose and grind beans, to learn how to smell and taste the beans to decide which ones you like. So we're going to send the students out to do research and think about what tastes and smells they like at their local cafes. Learning to purchase the beans that are optimal for brewing and grind the coffee beans. They need to understand grind size. The next section will be the setup for brewing. Reviewing and setting up their stations. They need to know what items are required. Learn the knowledge of the heating of the water and the timing. They will receive training on the temperature of water and preheating of items. And the measurements of beans in the water. Knowing and measuring how much coffee grinds to a lot per cup of water. The third section will be brewing. Something like wetting the beans, knowing how much water to put over the beans, how to pour the water, identifying when the coffee is bloomed, and then beginning the pour-over coffee and the options involved in the execution, as well as the taste of coffee. Here we are relating this back to step 1 in understanding your palate, how to identify if you brewed the coffee correctly and identify these tastes. We're going to have 3 learning objectives. Learning objective 1 is if given a bag of coffee beans, the students would be able to identify and generate the size of coffee grind, the size of coffee bean grind required, and brew a pour-over cup of coffee. In this section, I'm wanting the students to have a basic knowledge to be able to recall and memorize what size of coffee grind is required for a pour-over cup of coffee. In doing that, we also want them to be able to put that into practice and grind it to the proper size to create that coffee at home. The second learning objective is, given the pieces, the students will be able to describe and arrange the elements needed to brew that cup of coffee. In this objective, I'm wanting the students to be able to have the knowledge of what items are required to make that pour-over cup of coffee. The third learning objective is, with all the elements in place, the student will be able to create a pour-over cup of coffee they enjoy. So the basics is in this last section, I want the students to understand and create, to be able to comprehend how important the sequence and the timing of creation is. They should also be able to apply the knowledge given to them to create a cup of coffee at home. So the measurements and evaluations. We're going to have 3 basic measurements and evaluations. In the first section, where the students learn how to grind the beans, the learner should be able to identify the type of coffee they prefer and can grind the beans that they have purchased to the correct coarseness to create a pour-over cup of coffee. The evaluation would be identifying the correct size of grind and a lineup of several sizes of coffee grounds in a multiple choice photo question. In the second section, the learner can identify, name, and assemble all the parts required in making a cup of coffee properly. This will be an online quiz that will require learners to identify and explain each item required, then arrange them in the correct order of sequence. In the third section, the learner can explain why timing and measurement is important to the taste. Evaluation would be submitting a video assignment showing them grind, set up, and create a pour-over cup of coffee. Also, since this is just for fun and learning, the other evaluation is that the learner enjoys their cup of coffee and can explain why. I've briefly explained why we should offer this course, but I think it's important also to understand who and why someone would take this course. This allows us to justify the creation of the course, as I feel the basics of the students in this course align with what we are teaching at Continuing Studies. So the students are a coffee lover or know someone who is. They want freedom of space. They want to learn at home. They want freedom of time. They want to learn at their own pace. And they're curious. They want to know about how to taste coffee. They're very thrifty. They want to know the basics of making coffee at home so they don't have to spend all that money at a cafe. And this also may be a gateway. They want to learn the basics to eventually learn more about coffee. And the last but not least is low pressure. They're taking this course for fun. Thank you.